1 week ago, Sweden won 5-1. This week, Sweden lost 5-1. The same score, reversed. And it might never have happened before in World Cup history. Stop, let that sink in. 5-1, then 1-5. 7 days apart, the same team. You watch the first one. Sweden destroyed Tunisia. Isak scored. Gyokeres scored. Ayari hit 2 from distance, 5 goals, top of the group. A nation dreaming. Then came Houston, and the dream did not just fade, it detonated. But what really happened to Sweden was darker than one bad night. And the reason explains something every football fan needs to understand. Stay with, because the one detail that broke them comes later, and it changes how you see this entire team. First, you need to see how fast a World Cup dream can die. 7 days, that is all it took. Rewind to game 1, Sweden against Tunisia. It was a statement. Yasin Ayari curled one in from range in the 6th minute, then Isak, then Gyokeres, then a 4th, then Ayari again, another stunner, too good to celebrate quietly. 5-1, Sweden's second biggest World Cup win ever. They sat top of Group F. The pundits had a new favorite. 2 of the best strikers on the planet, Isak and Gyokeres, both fit, both scoring. People said it out loud. Sweden could be the dark horse of this whole tournament. And the headlines agreed, Sweden are back. Sweden are dangerous. Watch out for Sweden. But the scoreline lied to them. And the truth was waiting in the next match. Let me show you what really happened in Houston. First, understand who Sweden are supposed to be. This is a proud football nation that once reached a World Cup final on home soil, that knocked Italy out of qualifying, that has built its modern identity on tough, organized, hard-to-beat teams. For years, Sweden were the side nobody enjoyed playing. Defensively stubborn, cynical when they needed to be, a wall with a counter-attack. But this Sweden, under Graham Potter, was sold as something new. 2 genuinely world-class strikers leading the line, Alexander Isak, a Liverpool forward who glides past defenders, Victor Gyokeres, an Arsenal striker who bullies them. On paper, the most exciting Swedish attack in a generation. And after Tunisia, everyone believed the hype, including dangerously Sweden themselves. The Netherlands came in wounded. They had drawn their opener 2-2 with Japan, an equalizer in the 89th minute. The Dutch were doubted. Koeman was under pressure. This was supposed to be Sweden's chance to bury a giant. Instead, the giant woke up, and Sweden walked straight into it. And this is the part people forget about the Netherlands. They are never written off for long. This is a team stacked with talent at every position. A team that reached a World Cup semi-final not so long ago. A team that simply needed a spark. Sweden, riding high and full of confidence, gave them exactly the opponent they wanted. A side that would come out and play, leave space in behind, and trust its attack to win a shootout. Against a wounded, angry Netherlands, that was suicide. Koeman had made changes, sharpened his front line, and his players ran out in Houston with a point to prove. Sweden, meanwhile, ran out believing they had already arrived. You can see it in the opening 20 minutes. One team hunting, one team posing. The Netherlands struck early and never let go. Dumfries was unplayable down the right. Cross after cross after cross. And Sweden's defense, so confident a week before, simply could not cope. By halftime, the Dutch were in control. Sweden thought they had a lifeline when Lagerbielke headed one in. The flag went up, offside, chalked off, and you could feel it. The belief drained out of them. Now here is the pattern you have to see. Sweden's whole identity was built on their attack. Isak, Gyokeres, goals, goals, goals. But a team built only on scoring has a hidden weakness. When the goals dry up, there is nothing underneath to hold them together. And in Houston, the goals dried up at exactly the wrong moment. So here's my question for you right now. Is Sweden a real contender or a team that flatters to deceive? One word in the comments, contender or fraud. I read every single reply. And if you want the side of football that lives underneath the highlight reels, the collapses, the patterns nobody points out, subscribe and tap that like button. It tells the algorithm to push these stories to people who actually think about the game. Now back to the second half, because this is where Sweden truly fell apart. 3 minutes after the break, it was over. Another Dumfries cross. Gakpo arrived at the back post and fired home. 3-1, the exact same move that had tormented Sweden all night, and they still could not stop it. 7 minutes later, the killer, Alexander Isak, Sweden's golden striker, gave the ball away high up the pitch. The Netherlands broke at lightning speed. Gakpo again. 4-1. Read that back. Isak, the man who was supposed to win this game, handed it to the Dutch with one careless touch. That is the detail I promised you. That is the moment that explains everything. Slow down on that giveaway, because it is the whole video in in one moment. Isak is not a careless player. He is one of the most expensive, most gifted forwards in the world, but he was trying to make something happen, pressing high, forcing the play, because Sweden's entire plan depends on their stars conjuring magic, and when your plan is built on two men dragging you through every game, those two men carry an impossible weight. One slip becomes a goal. One bad night becomes a humiliation. The very thing that makes Sweden exciting is the thing that makes them brittle, because here is the brutal truth about Sweden. Their stars were also their fragility. When Isak and Gyokeres click, Sweden look unstoppable, but the entire team leans on them so heavily that when those two have an off day, or worse, make a mistake, the whole structure collapses. There is no plan B, no safety net, no spine to fall back on. Compare that to the teams that actually go deep at World Cups. They are almost never the ones with the prettiest opening win. They are the ones who can win ugly, who can defend a 1-0 lead for 30 minutes, who have a midfielder willing to do the dirty work, a backline that talks, a goalkeeper who organizes. Sweden, for all their firepower, showed in Houston that they have none of that glue when the front two go quiet. And glue, not goals, is what survives a knockout tournament. Against Tunisia, the stars delivered, and Sweden looked like world beaters. Against the Netherlands, one Isak error, and they looked like they had never played together. That is not a contender. That is a coin flip in a yellow shirt. And think about what that does to a dressing room. A week ago, these players were being told they could win the tournament. Now they are being torn apart on the biggest stage in the world, watching the same crosses they could not defend land in their net again and again. Confidence is a strange thing in football. It can carry an average team to greatness, and its sudden loss can turn a good team to dust in 45 minutes. Sweden lost theirs somewhere between Dumfries' second cross and Isak's giveaway, and once it was gone, there was no getting it back on the night. Sweden did get one moment of pride. Isak, trying to atone for his error, threaded a brilliant ball to substitute Anthony Elanga, who burned past the defense and scored one of the five. For a second, you wondered if a comeback was alive. It was not. Somerville came off the bench and added a fifth late on, finishing a slick Dutch move. 5-1. The rout was complete, and the symmetry was almost cruel. So think about what this really means. Beyond one scoreline, Sweden are now staring at elimination. After topping the group, they could be heading home. They face Japan next, a team that just held the Netherlands and thrashed Tunisia 4-0. There is no easy game left. The dark horse has become the hunted, and the numbers around this collapse are staggering when you stop and look. A 5-1 win followed by a 1-5 loss is a 10-goal swing in 7 days from the same 11 core players in the same tournament. Analysts are already calling it possibly the first time in World Cup history a team has won by a 4-goal margin and then lost by a 4-goal margin in consecutive matches. Football gives you these perfect, brutal little stories sometimes, and Sweden are living one right now, whether they like it or not. But the bigger lesson is this: in a tournament this brutal, momentum is an illusion. A 5-1 win means nothing if the foundation underneath is cracked. Sweden were never as good as that first result suggested, and probably not as bad as the second. The truth was always somewhere in between. It just took the Netherlands to expose it. How many teams have we seen do exactly this? Look brilliant for one match, convince everyone, and then crumble the moment they meet someone who punches back. It is the oldest trap in football, confusing a good night for a good team. Brazil have done it. Germany have done it. Spain have done it. Every few years, a team blitzes someone in their opener, the world anoints them, and then reality arrives in Game 2 or in the knockouts. The expanded 48-team World Cup makes it even more likely because the gap between the opening minnow and the real test is now enormous. Beat a weak side 5-1 and you learn almost nothing about yourself. You only learn the truth when someone good punches back. Sweden just found out the hard way. So here is my real question, and be honest below. Have you ever watched your own team do this? Win big, get your hopes up, and then break your heart a week later? Tell me which team and which tournament. Because Sweden just gave us the textbook example, and maybe that is the real story here. Not that Sweden lost, teams lose, but that they were crowned too early by everyone, including themselves. The 5-1 over Tunisia did not make them contenders. It made them comfortable, and comfort at a World Cup is the most dangerous thing of all. Graham Potter now has to rebuild belief in a matter of days. With two world-class strikers who suddenly look human, and a defense that just shipped 5 goals to a team that was being written off a week ago. Sweden's fans have felt this before. The hope, the big win, the certainty that this time is different, and then the cold, familiar collapse, right when it mattered most. 1 week ago, Sweden won 5-1. This week, they lost by the exact same score. And that perfect, painful symmetry is the whole story of this World Cup so far. Nobody is as good as their best, and nobody is safe no matter how many goals they scored last week.